Good morning, everyone. Today we're here to talk about Operation Press Check. Speaking today will be Commonwealth Attorney for Fairfax, Steve Descano, Chief of Police here at Fairfax County, Kevin Davis, and Detective of our Special Investigative Unit, Jeremy Hoffman. Mr. Descano.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and sharing in this announcement of what I think is a really groundbreaking program, Operation Press Check, that I am very pleased to have my office join hand in hand with the Fairfax County Police Department to take on the scourge of gun violence in our community. As you know, Fairfax County is the safest large jurisdiction anywhere in the country, but that doesn't mean that our work stops. We continue to press on and do what's necessary to continue to build community safety and address the concerns of our neighbors and constituents. And I will tell you that everywhere I go, one of the things that I get asked is about gun violence. And, you know, I'm so excited what we're going to be doing here, Operation Press Check. It's going to be a very collaborative partnership between these agencies. And our goal is to build safer communities and really get at the scourge of gun violence. You know, of course, doing that correctly requires a multi-pronged approach. So, of course, there is going to be improved coordination when it comes to investigation and prosecution on things such as felon in possessions. But we're also going to be doing other things as well that will hopefully allow us to work upstream when it comes to the supply of guns. We're going to be doing a lot of data collection, a lot of collaboration on things that are more supply side as well, things such as potentially looking at straw purchasers, also taking a look at sharing data on things that right now may be gaps in the law when it comes to ghost guns, when it comes to serial number scratch-off crime guns, and extended magazines. Through this partnership, we are endeavoring to really take a high-level, multi-pronged approach to the scourge of gun violence. And I will tell you that I am incredibly grateful for the work that the chief has done in bringing this together, that the work that Jeremy Hoffman, standing to my left, has done to bring this together, as well as people in my office. And I think that as we start with this partnership, we're going to continue to build on the record of safety that we've already established when it comes to gun violence and the partnerships between these programs, as you've seen in the success that we've had over the last year or so with our red flag law program. So I'm excited to be here. I'm glad that you all here are celebrating the beginning of this important Operation Press Check partnership. And now, Chief Davis, if you take the podium.
Thanks, Mr. Descano. You know, iron sharpens iron. So our commitment is to have our very best detectives from our Special Investigation Unit partnering with several prosecutors that are going to be hand-selected by Mr. Descano and his team to bring these arrests into a courtroom and to realize better successes, successes for public safety and successes for the community. You know, we're still reflecting a lot on 2023, and we had a really good year in Fairfax County. Our murders were down by 23%. Murders nationally were down by about 15%, and we did a little bit better than that. But when we look back at our homicides, and we had 17 in 2023, the vast majority of them were committed with firearms, and that's no surprise. But all too often, and in 2023, it was to the tune of about 80 felons who were in illegal possession of a firearm were arrested by Fairfax County police officers. What we're doing differently in 2024 is we're making sure that arrest, that case, the evidence, the forensics, the fingerprints, the interviews, the technology follow-ups, all that work is going to be done in a more laser-focused way on the front end. So when we get to the point where we're collaborating with the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office about bringing a successful case into a courtroom, we will realize greater successes. So we're excited about it. We think it's going to make our community safer. And the data collection is important, and all those other intricacies and issues that impact the crime fight, and particularly with the accessibility to firearms. Still too often in society, people who illegally carry firearms are more prone to go to that firearm when they're engaged in a otherwise petty dispute. And things spiral out of control, and then we have a life that is unnecessarily lost. So we're excited about 2024. We're excited about this ongoing partnership. Iron sharpens iron, and we think our very best, partnering with the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office very best, is going to result in better outcomes and an even safer Fairfax County. So I think what we'll do now is we have Detective Hoffman up here as our subject matter expert, but we'll open it up for questions that either Mr. Descano and I will take. Drew.
Chief, either for you, the detective, is it fair to say that most of the charges for a felon in possession of a firearm come during the commission of another crime, that's another thing that is happening, somebody's pulled over or an incident happens? Is it usually paired with other charges? That might be the reason for the call.
It is pretty common that they're paired with other types of violent crime. I would say that's probably the majority of the cases that we have. We do see other cases where firearms are recovered off of a routine traffic stop or just proactive enforcement by some of our officers. But the vast majority are probably related to other violent crime.
In those instances, obviously, you've got multiple charges then at that point, maybe some high level, some low level. What's changing as far as the work in the field during that stop or arrest that would then go to the courthouse to help the prosecution side?
Well, I think my unit's going to really come into play, particularly of the cases that aren't generated by another violent crime where we already have experienced detectives addressing them. When we have cases addressed by patrol officers where an arrest is made, my team is going to come in and partner with them. We're going to look at the case and make sure all the steps are taken along the way to ensure that we're giving the best case that we can to the prosecutor's office.
Well, so what was it like then before? Have we seen this type of collaboration and partnership, and what makes this different from what you guys were doing prior to this operation?
Okay, Matt, maybe I'll take a swing at that, and Mr. Descano can as well. Our commitment on the police side of it all is to assign these seasoned veteran detectives who have a level of expertise to an arrest scene or to one of our patrol district stations or to an interview room on the very, very front end of this. It's an immediate response by seasoned detectives who know the intricacies of these types of investigations, and they also know, because they are so well versed in these cases, what is needed to successfully hand the case over to a prosecutor to ensure a successful outcome. So you think about the average 24, 25-year-old patrol officer in Fairfax County or elsewhere, he or she makes a gun recovery, whether it's pursuant to another crime that was committed or a traffic or a person stop. That patrol officer, we're pledging to that patrol officer in the middle of the night that we're going to send you our very best to help you put the best arrest together to ensure a successful outcome in a courtroom on behalf of our community. And I'll let Mr. Descano speak for himself of what he's doing on his end, but we're really doing the same things from different directions, and we think we're going to have better outcomes.
I agree with the chief. We are doing a lot of the same things from different directions to get to a better outcome. Particularly the value of having experienced investigators and experienced prosecutors dealing with these types of cases is that there are some statutes, some crimes in Virginia code revolving around guns that are very, very specific and have very, very specific requirements that a newer investigator or, quite frankly, a less seasoned prosecutor may not be able to see, or with their experience may not even be able to look for. A great example is our extended magazine statute. You would think that, oh, it just sounds easy to prosecute somebody for having a gun with an extended magazine in Fairfax County, but there are actually a number of very specific things that need to be proven to get a conviction in that case. And those are the types of things to prove that need to be investigated. And the people from Detective Hoffman's team have the experience, have that exposure to dealing with guns, that they will be able to almost instinctively know what they're looking for and be able to follow those possibilities. And if they're able to get to that point, bring it to us, and we'll be able to bring a different case than we might have been able to otherwise.
So it sounds like to successfully just prosecute these types of crimes, you guys are just going to really enhance the partnership between both agencies.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is, to use a football analogy, the day after the National Football championship game is we're putting our first team All-Americans on the field. So we're going to have first team All-Americans from the police department and from the prosecutor's office looking at these really important cases. Because again, we don't have many homicides in Fairfax County. One is too many, but we don't have many. The overwhelming majority, 13 of the 17 we had last year, were committed with firearms. So we want to get better at what we think we do really well now, and just putting the seasoned veteran players on the field we think is going to result in better outcomes for the community.
And if I might add one more thing, Chief, if you don't mind. I also don't want to, I don't want everybody to glide over the rest of the partnership as well. We talked about data. We talked about some other things. I mentioned gaps in the law. For a great example is we're going to be trading data on what we call crime guns, that are guns that have serial numbers scratched off. Now that is a gap in the law where carrying a gun with the serial number scratched off, that is federally illegal. It is illegal in Virginia to scratch it off, but yet it is still, there's a gap in the law where it's not, we can't prosecute somebody for actually carrying that gun. So what we're going to be doing on things like that is we obviously want to have that data collection, how many of these guns that we have, so that when we work with our partners in the General Assembly to show them the need for closing these gaps, that will be incredibly helpful. But also that data sharing and the enhanced investigation could possibly lead to things that are upstream. Maybe who scratched off the gun, who did X, Y, and Z. So it is about putting our first team All-Americans, as the chief said, on the field, not just because they're better at doing what is already done, but because they have the skills and the capabilities to go and do other things that could lead to bigger cases and bigger issues down the line.
Steve, are there some cases, I guess, that maybe come to mind where, it didn't work out the way that you're hoping it works out in the future? Is there a general ballpark number? Could somebody have maybe been, could a result have been different?
Well, of course, I don't have any cases that come to mind, and let me say that, our work with the Fairfax County Police Department has been very, very good. I don't think that you get to be the safest county of its size anywhere in the country by not having good investigators and good prosecutors. But this is not so much a reaction to previous cases. What this is a collaboration between me and the chief and our agencies on how we can do better. Because we never want to get to that situation where we have to give a case away because something fell through the cracks in one of our agencies. This really is about a commitment to doing more, not a commitment to fixing something that has happened in the past.
Just how many detectives and prosecutors would be part of the operation?
We have approximately 6 detectives in our special investigation unit that will be taking on this important work, continuing to do this important work, but just in a different way.
And I'll be building a team of 4 prosecutors that my office is going to be hand selecting, as the chief mentioned, for this. What I like to think is a spotlight initiative of our agencies here trying to build public safety.
Anybody else? Caroline, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. You kind of touched on it. So just to be clear, so essentially last year or in previous cases, most of these violent crimes committed by firearm were also felons. Is that correct?
I don't know if I heard you correctly. I think the number that I spoke about earlier was we had about 80 arrests in 2023 of felons who were in illegal possession of a firearm. And that is going to be a focus amongst other things. But that's about the number of cases that we anticipate we'll see in 2024. So a year from now, we'll hopefully be touting some good success stories based on this enhanced ongoing partnership. Drew?
Any guess or any stat, maybe we can get it later, about how many of those roughly 80 those individuals were discovered while they were committing a misdemeanor or a traffic violation? Because a lot of times, if it's homicide or something like that, it's very probable that doesn't even end up being something that is ultimately prosecuted and sentenced.
Yeah, we can dial down and try to dissect some numbers out of it, but it could be a crime gun recovered on a scene, and it could be something as serious as as a murder or a non-fatal shooting, or it could be something as seemingly minor as a traffic stop of a person who's prohibited, and he is likely prohibited because he's a convicted felon who remains in possession of a firearm. And it's that proximity to a firearm for someone who's prohibited that the law says, you know, we have to pay attention to those folks because they have a propensity all too often to reoffend and to resort to gun violence. So this is this is a prevention program as much as it is an enforcement.
So that operation will cover all those gun crimes?
Yes, yes.
Do we know how many gun crimes have been successfully prosecuted?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah, I don't have the numbers for you, but I will say that, you know, the chief may have been a little tongue in cheek when the answer is a lot, but you know, part of the reason why we are doing this partnership, and it came up in the conversations that the chief and I have, is because we both really prioritize these types of crimes. I know that as long as I've been in the office, gun crimes have been a thing that we've prioritized as being some of the most important types of cases that we have. And this is just another step in that. I think you saw last year, as the chief mentioned, we're trying to do a lot to be preventative as well. You see that with our red flag law program, and in many ways that this is kind of of that partnership that does have, of course, an enforcement mechanism and enforcement eye towards it.
And our communications officer. And this, like, you talk about the red flag law, which we saw some success last year. So this is just, I know it's two different things, but this is like another layer to that, because I mean, some felons you take them away temporarily.
So I think the knee bone is connected to the leg bone. So not only did we see some successes in 2023 with our ESRO, we led the Commonwealth of Virginia by leaps and bounds with the number of firearms we seized from people who were experiencing a behavioral crisis, a mental health crisis, or were involved in a domestic violence scenario. And the number of guns that we temporarily seized from those people who are very vulnerable is, present tense, a huge success story. So to pivot a little bit, but we're heading in the same direction, same North Star, to do something like this, I think is consistent with our prosecutorial and law enforcement commitment to do better. Okay. Stay dry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone for coming out. We'll be posting all the details of Operation Press Check on our blog, and you can follow us at Fairfax County PD for any updates in this. Thanks so much.